I was gone for just 2 hours, and when I came back, my life was gone. The front door was wide open, like someone had left in a hurry. I stepped inside and froze. The house. The same house that used to echo with my wife's and my kids' laughter. Now it was just bare walls. No furniture, no family pictures. Not a single trace of a family ever living here. On the floor, a few Lego pieces were scattered. In the corner, a tiny blue sock, Noah's I guess, curled up like something forgotten. I ran upstairs. Empty. Noah's room. Empty. His crib taken apart. Sheets gone. I tore through the closets, desperate to find just one shirt, one sketchbook of his. Nothing. The kitchen was the only place with anything left. A single sheet of paper taped to the fridge. On it, words scribbled in a rush. Words that squeezed the air out of my chest. Don't look for me. Don't look for our son. We're done. I stood there not moving. My shirt still damp from the morning swim. Drops of water fell from my hair onto the cold tiles, one by one, loud in that silent house. My head was blank. No explanation. No call. No text. I walked out to the yard, looking toward the neighbors, hoping someone could tell me what happened. An old lady came closer and said softly, "A truck came this morning. They packed for hours. Then they left." The wind swept across the yard, making the white curtain at the window whip and flap. 2 hours ago, this was my home. Now, all that's left is an empty shell and a note saying it's over. And right then, I just wished I'd known that hug this morning was the last one. I sat on the floor, staring at the empty walls like they were swallowing me whole. And all I could hear in my head was one stupid question. Why? Why did she choose to leave like this? My name is Lucas Miller. I'm 38. A swimming coach at the community center. Just an ordinary man, living an ordinary life. But for me, Anna, and Noah, they were my whole world. Every morning, I was always the first one up. I'd make myself a black coffee in that small kitchen, let the smell drift through the house. A few minutes later, Noah would come down, still half asleep, clutching that little brown teddy bear. He'd sit at the table, dig into his cereal, and always end up with a ring of milk around his mouth. And right then, Anna would walk in. She never scolded him. She'd just wipe his mouth with her finger and smile. That smile. The same smile I fell for 12 years ago. There's this little habit of mine Anna never knew. Every Monday morning, I'd tuck a folded note into Noah's lunchbox. Something silly like, "Swim home fast, buddy. Dad's waiting." I like to picture him opening it at school, grinning to himself. Those little things. I thought they'd last forever. I met Anna when I was 26. Back then, I'd just retired from competitive swimming. No idea what to do next. She was an accountant, sharp, grounded, no nonsense. We fell for each other fast. So fast, no one even had time to object. A year later, we married. 3 years later, Noah came along. We weren't rich. We weren't dreamers. But we were warm. My life was simple. My job, the pool, and my family. I took as many classes as I could, from dawn till night. Anna would often tell me, "Don't work yourself to death. Come home for dinner with us." And I'd always promise, "Just a few more years? Once things are stable, I'll be home more." But promises are one thing. Cold dinners are another. Too many nights, I came home to find Noah asleep at the table, and Anna sitting there with a book, silent. I keep wondering, how many nights did he wait for me for the last time? And that night? Was it that last time? Somewhere along the way, our happiness started to crack. Quietly. The past 6 months, Anna smiled less. When I asked, she just said, "I'm fine, just tired." And I believed her. I thought it was work, or just the weight of looking after a kid. I didn't see it, that faraway look in her eyes, every night by the window. I didn't realize that was her slow goodbye. The night before it all happened was so peaceful it hurts to remember. Noah was doing homework at his desk. Anna and I sat watching an old movie. She leaned her head on my shoulder. Quiet. Too quiet. No fights. No warnings. Nothing. Before bed, I hugged her. Just an ordinary hug. Not too tight. Not too loose. And back then, I honestly thought there would be a million more hugs like that. If only that night I had held her a little longer. Told her how terrified I was of losing her. Would any of this have been different? Noah is the best thing that ever happened in my life. He's got his mother's eyes, bright and gentle, but his nature is all me, stubborn, drawn to the water, always laughing. I never missed a single school performance. Even on days when my legs shook after training, I still ran to his class. Just to watch him stand on that stage, holding a crumpled piece of paper, eyes searching for me in the crowd. And the second he found me and smiled, every ounce of exhaustion disappeared. On weekends, it was always the two of us at the park pool. He swims so well that people joke he'll follow in my footsteps. One time, he popped up from the water, breathing hard, and said, "Dad, one day I'm going to open a huge pool. You'll teach people how to swim, and I'll teach them how to laugh." I laughed so hard my stomach hurt. In that moment, all I could picture was his future, filled with nothing but laughter. Maybe that's why, when I walked into that empty house today, the first image that hit me wasn't Anna. It was Noah. I pictured him waking up to a room stripped bare, being pulled out of the house in silence. Was he scared? Did he look back one last time? Did he tuck a little toy into his pocket, just to hold on to a piece of his childhood? That thought, it crushed my chest. That morning, I had only planned to swim alone. It's a ritual I've had for years, a way to start the day in peace. Before leaving, I kissed Noah on the forehead, pulled the blanket a little higher, thinking how good it felt that I didn't have to coach today, that I'd be home early to have breakfast with them. I had no idea that just a few hours later, everything would be gone. There are things you always think will be there. The sound of running water while Anna washes dishes, the patter of Noah's feet down the hallway, the smell of morning coffee. Then you turn your back for a moment, and all those things you thought were solid. Turns out they were paper thin, so easy to tear apart. I sat in that empty house and let my eyes wander. Faint stains on the wall where the old couch used to be, the window where Anna stood, staring out, the blank space where our family photo used to hang. Even those empty spaces felt like a whole world I'd lost. Inside my head, it kept playing, over and over. Noah opening his lunchbox, smiling at my note, then slipping it to his mom. Winter nights, the three of us wrapped in a blanket, listening to the rain on the porch. The first time he called out Dad, after swimming the whole length of the pool on his own. And now, in one single morning, all of it has become memory. I still don't know why Anna chose to leave like that. I don't know what she went through to make that decision. But here's what cuts the deepest. How does a father not know that the last day with his son was the last? This house now is just an empty shell. But in every brick, in every corner, I can still smell the coffee. I can still hear the laughter. I can still feel their warmth. I sit there, alone, in a world that suddenly feels so wide and so cold it steals your breath. Outside, the late afternoon sun spills through the window, casting long shadows across the floor. Footsteps pass by. Kids laugh in the distance. It all sounds like another life. I close my eyes, take a deep breath, and I realize something. This morning split my life in two, one half with them, and the other, just me. And I know now. I have to find out why, even if the truth waiting ahead is merciless. That afternoon, I walked out of the house with no feeling left in my legs. I had no idea where I was going. I just knew that if I stayed in that empty room for one more minute, I'd lose my mind. I pulled out my phone and called Anna. The screen showed nothing but a cold message. "This number is unavailable." I sent a single text. Why? It vanished into nowhere. No reply. I called again, and again, until the same automated voice kept repeating itself. Then I dropped the phone onto the seat, buried my head in my hands. It felt like banging on a door that was locked from the inside. I ran next door to the old lady who saw everything that morning. "Did you see anyone with them? Whose truck was it?" She let out a shaky breath. It was just a white truck. They were at it from early morning till almost noon. She carried the boy onto the truck, and he kept looking back with those sad eyes. Looking back, those two words cut straight into me. I clenched my fists so hard I felt my nails break skin, and I didn't even feel it. Did she say where they were going? No. When I asked, she just smiled. The kind of smile people wear when they've already decided to go far, far away. A smile that leaves behind an entire family. Her words landed on my chest like a stone. I drove straight to Noah's school. His teacher looked at me, unsure of what to say. "She's already filed for Noah to leave the school." "For how long?" "She said he's transferring." No new address yet. I stared at my son's desk. The faint smudges of pencil were still there from yesterday's homework. Half a letter still etched on the page. I touched it. It was cold, like metal. I pictured him sitting there just yesterday, probably thinking about how he'd show it to me that night. But now the chair was empty. On the backrest, the letter N was still scratched in with a pencil tip. By evening, I drove to Anna's parents' house. Her father opened the door. His face hardened the second he saw me. "Please," I said. "I just need to know where they are. I swear I won't do anything. I just need to hear my son's voice." He stared at me for a long time, then shook his head. "She doesn't want to see you. Respect her choice. Don't push it." The door slammed shut. The squeal of the hinges tore right through my chest. I stood there with my fists clenched, nails cutting into my palms. That night, the empty house swallowed me whole. I didn't turn on the lights. I just sat in the living room, scrolling through old texts, old pictures. Looking at those pictures, I saw a man I barely recognized. Smiling, carefree. I whispered to the screen, "How long ago did you decide to leave?" And I didn't see it. I lay flat on the floor, staring at the dark ceiling. Time didn't move. The only thing I heard was my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. The next morning, I went to the police station. The officer listened to the whole story, then tilted his head. "You said she left a note saying not to look for her?" "Yes." "Then this isn't a missing person case. It's her choice." I sat there, numb. My hands shook so badly, I couldn't hold the pen. My signature came out crooked, like a child's. When I stepped outside, the sun was burning hot. But inside, all I felt was ice. The days that followed, I searched like a man possessed. I went to every place they loved. The coffee shop where Anna read her books. The park where Noah loved the swings. The toy store. The library. I asked everyone. Most just stared at me and shook their heads. Each place I stepped into felt like a house with no windows. I walked in and met nothing but darkness. At night, I drove aimlessly through the streets, staring at the lit-up windows. I imagined Anna and Noah sitting behind one of them, but every window was a stranger's. Surrounded by a city full of glowing homes, I had never felt more lost. By the second week, I went to the bank. To lawyers, every trace had been wiped clean. Accounts emptied. Documents transferred. Everything prepared long before. And me, the man who lay next to her every night. I knew nothing. One night, I pulled over on an empty street, turned off the engine. Yellow streetlights spilled across the asphalt. I leaned my forehead on the steering wheel. My vision blurred. Did I lose them? Or did I never really hold on to them at all? I thought that was rock bottom. But the next morning, when I opened my email, there it was. An anonymous message. Subject line: "If you want the truth, don't believe what she told you." The email subject line made my heart drop. If you want the truth, stop believing what she told you. The sender was a blank account. No name, no picture, just one line of text, and a short video, less than a minute long. I took a deep breath, clicked play. The screen flickered. Grainy footage from a camera, far away. Anna, wearing a cap, walking fast across a parking lot. Next to her, a tall man. Both of them looking around, like they were afraid of being followed. The man opened the car door, shielded her as she and Noah got inside. The door slammed. The car sped away. And that was it. The video ended. Beneath it, just one more line. Want the truth? Don't believe her. I sat there frozen. Questions pounding in my head. Who sent this? Who was that man? Was she running away with him? Or was he helping her escape? That night, I didn't close my eyes once. I kept replaying the clip over and over, pausing at the moment his hand touched her shoulder. There was no force. It looked like protection. Half of me wanted to believe she was being forced. The other half was terrified that she chose to leave with him. The next morning, I wrote back, "Who are you? What do you want?" No reply. I wrote again, "Please, tell me where Anna and Noah are. I just need to know my son is safe." Nothing. 3 days passed. Each one felt like a year. I kept refreshing my inbox like a madman. Until Tuesday morning. A new email. "If you want answers, be at the Greyhound station. Friday, 7 p.m. Come alone." The night before, I stood in front of the mirror. My face pale, eyes sunken. I pulled Noah's little photo from my wallet, held it for hours like a lifeline. Didn't sleep a second. I arrived 2 hours early. Cold wind swept through the rows of metal benches, making old posters on the walls rattle and flap. 6:40. My heart almost stopped. At the end of the hall, a woman walking with a boy. The way they moved, it was so familiar it scared me. I jumped up, ran. They turned around. Strangers. I stopped, knees weak, leaning on a column just to stay on my feet. 7 o'clock sharp. A man appeared at the exit. Dark coat, hood pulled low. He walked straight toward me, eyes down. When he reached me, he placed an envelope on the bench. "Read this." His voice low, rough, cold. Before I could even react, he turned away and melted into the crowd. Inside the envelope, photos. Anna, Noah, and the man from the video. They were standing in front of a wooden house in a small town. No fear on Anna's face, just tired and certain. I flipped to the last photo, and it hit me hard. In Noah's hands, that same little brown teddy bear, the one he was holding the morning they left. They kept a piece of this home with them. On the back of the photo, a single messy line. "You deserve to know, but the truth isn't what you think it is." I sat there, trembling, clutching the pictures. It felt like someone had opened another door, not to darkness, but to a maze, and I have no idea what I'll find in there, or what else I might lose. I only know one thing. From this moment on, it's just the beginning, and the road ahead might hurt even more than everything I've already been through. I sat in the car, staring at the photos until every detail burned into my mind. A wooden house, deep in the trees. A faded sign. Only 2 words still clear. Clear Lake. That was all I had. The next morning, I searched Clear Lake online. Dozens of places came up. I looked again at the trees in the picture. Evergreens. Gray sky. Cold air. There was only one direction to go. North. I threw a few clothes into a backpack, grabbed the photos, and left. No plan. Just a road. The miles stretched forever. Tires humming, steady and dull. And in the rearview mirror, a gray pickup, always there. I turned off the highway. It turned too. Only when I pulled into a crowded gas station did it finally disappear. A chill ran down my spine. That first night, I stayed at a roadside motel. The room was damp. The air conditioner rattled like it could die any second. I lay there, staring at the stained ceiling. And for the first time, I cried. "Noah, do you miss me?" The question just hung there. No answer. Day 2. Hundreds of miles behind me. Deep in the woods, an old gas station. Next to it, a sign. Clear Lake, 12 miles. I showed a photo to the man wiping down his windshield. "You know this house." He squinted, then nodded. "Edge of town. Not many folks out there. Have you seen them?" "Only remember a guy with a green pickup." "The other 2? "Haven't seen them." A spark of hope. Clear Lake appeared as the sun was setting. Small. Quiet. So quiet you could hear the wind. Just a few stores on the main road. And yet, as I drove past, eyes watched me from behind windows and porches. Silent. Wary. Like they'd seen men like me come here before, and never leave the same. I stopped at a small diner, ordered a black coffee. Conversations died the moment I walked in. Only a few older folks inside. I pulled out the photo. "Do you know this place?" The waitress glanced at it, lowered her voice. "North of town? Crossed the wooden bridge, then left on the dirt road. But be careful. Out there, not everyone wants visitors." She scribbled on a napkin and slid it toward me. I followed her directions. The trees grew thicker. The last light of day flickered across the windshield. And then, in the rearview mirror, that gray pickup again. I sped up. It turned off down a side road and vanished. I couldn't tell anymore if I was imagining things. The wooden bridge appeared. The planks groaned under my tires, each crack of wood pounding against my chest. Past the bridge, the trail narrowed until the car couldn't go any farther. I killed the engine, grabbed my backpack, and walked. The forest wind cut cold against my skin. Somewhere behind me, a branch snapped. I stopped, turned. No one. I kept moving, heart pounding louder than the wind. Around a sharp bend, there it was. The house. Just like in the photo. Old, roof covered in moss, yard silent as stone. I froze. In my head, I saw Noah clutching that little teddy bear. My hands went cold, sweat beading on my palms. I took a long breath, stepped onto the porch. The boards creaked under my weight. I raised my hand. Knocked. 3 times. Silence. I knocked again. Harder. Footsteps. Slow. The door opened. The man from the video stood there, his eyes calm, like he'd been waiting, and in a low, rough voice he said, "I knew you'd come, but are you sure you're ready to hear the truth?" The man stood in the doorway, blocking it. Calm eyes, heavy as stone. "Come in. It's not safe out here." I stepped inside. The house was dark and cold. Bare wooden walls, sparse of furniture. The smell of damp wood mixed with dry leaves. He pulled out a chair, sat down, and motioned for me to sit across from him. "I'm Mark," he said. "I know you have a lot of questions." My voice came out rough. "Where's Anna? Where's Noah?" "They're safe," he said. "But before you lose your temper, you need to hear everything. Things aren't what you think." I slammed my hand on the table. She left without a word. "Do you know what these weeks have been like for me?" Mark stared straight at me. "I'm the one who told her to leave." I froze. "What are you to her?" "A friend," he said quietly, "and someone who owes her my life." "A friend." My teeth clenched. "You tear my family apart and call yourself a friend." Mark stayed calm. "If I hadn't helped her, you wouldn't even have a family left to find." He opened a drawer and placed a thick folder in front of me. I grabbed it. My throat closed. Photos. Dozens of them. Anna at the market. Noah at the school gate. Even shots taken through the window of our living room. And notes, scrawled in jagged handwriting. "We know where you are. You can't hide. Start counting down." My hands shook. Each photo felt like a fist to the chest. Noah, innocent, laughing, turned into prey. "How long?" I whispered. "Months," Mark said slowly. "They've been watching every step. And she knew. If she told you, you'd fight back. And all 3 of you would be in even greater danger." I gripped the edge of the table. "Why couldn't she trust me? We're a family." "Because she loves you," he said. "And because she knew one day you'd find out on your own." I went silent. After a moment, I forced the words out. "Who's behind this?" "I don't know yet," Mark said. "But someone is hunting them. And he's not going to stop." I thought of the gray pickup that had been trailing me these past days. And the truck following me. "Them," he nodded. "I tried to throw them off so you could get here." My whole body trembled. "So what now? You expect them to hide forever?" Mark met my eyes. "No. But if you want to go on, you need to accept something. From today on, your old life is gone. You have to choose. Truth or peace." My chest felt like it would explode. I stood up so fast the chair crashed to the floor. I grabbed him by the collar. "I don't want peace. I just want to see my son. Right now," Mark's voice stayed steady, "if I take you there now, they'll track us. You'll have minutes to hold him. And then the 3 of you will spend the rest of your lives running." His words made my grip loosen. I staggered back, gasping for air. Mark pulled out a scrap of paper and wrote an address. 3 days from now. This place? If you still want to go through with it, come alone. You'll see your wife, your son, and the truth. He looked straight into me, his voice low and heavy. "But remember this, once you walk through that door, there's no going back." I took the paper, crumpling it in my fist. 3 days? You promise?" "I promise." I walked out of the house into the night. The forest wind cut cold across my face. The path back to my car felt longer than ever. Behind me, the door closed. Ahead, nothing but darkness. And 3 long days waiting. 3 of the longest days of my life. With a storm building, violent and unstoppable, in my chest. 3 days felt like a century. The first night, I lay still on the damp motel bed, staring at the ceiling. Every time I closed my eyes, Noah appeared, his little face pressed against the car window, looking back at me, cutting into me like a knife. I unlocked my phone and scrolled through those photos again and again, until the screen blurred. Day 2, I wandered the town. Quiet streets. But everywhere I walked, I felt eyes on my back. Now and then, footsteps sounded right behind me. I'd spin around and find nothing, only empty space. That night, when I got back to my room, there was an envelope under the door. No name, no marks. I picked it up, my palm ice cold. Inside, a photo. Me, standing in front of the diner earlier that day. On the back, in blood-red ink, "Stop, while you still can." The room seemed to shrink around me. I stood there frozen, feeling like someone was right behind me, breathing down my neck. Day 3. The day of the meeting. I left town before dawn. The address Mark gave me lay deep in a valley, more than 100 miles away. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. Only the hum of the engine, the wind outside, and the pounding in my chest. By noon, the road led me to an abandoned warehouse. No one in sight. The wooden door hung ajar. I pushed it open. The hinge screamed into the empty air. Inside, the air was stale with dust. In the middle of the room stood an old table. On it, a brown cardboard box. I walked up slowly, every step heavy, my pulse loud in my ears, hands slick with sweat. I set my fingers on the lid, stopped, drew one deep breath, and opened it. No wife, no son, only a phone. Screen on, a video waiting. I picked it up, hit play with shaking hands. Mark appeared. Behind him, a narrow doorway opening to a dark forest. "I know you're disappointed," he said, "but last night we got photos of you. Which means someone's still watching." His eyes locked on the camera. His voice steady, every word sharp. "This is the only way to throw them off one last time." Then slowly, "Drive west, Cedar Canyon. Tonight, that's where you'll see Anna and Noah. And listen carefully. If they find you this time, there won't be another chance." The video ended. I stood there, gripping the phone. Part of me terrified it was a trap. But deeper inside, one image drowned out everything. Noah. I turned and stepped out. The late afternoon light spilled gold across the winding mountain road, cutting through the hills like a scar. I took a deep breath, started the engine, and drove. The sun sank behind the mountains like a streak of burning coal. The road into Cedar Canyon narrowed, trapped between towering walls of rock. Wind howled through the pass, whipping red dust into long trails that hung in the air like smoke. I cut the engine. Silence crashed down. Only my heartbeat remained, loud, fast, relentless. A figure stood ahead. Mark. He raised a hand for silence and said quietly, "Follow me." I followed. The dirt path twisted deeper into the canyon, like it was leading me into a trap. Every step felt like it weighed 100 pounds. Rock walls pressed in on both sides, and the light faded until there was nothing but shadow. Around a bend, a small wooden cabin appeared, wedged deep in the gorge. The door stood ajar. Cold air spilled out from inside. I stepped through the doorway and froze. "Anna." She turned. Her eyes met mine for a split second before they fell away, as if she couldn't bear to look. Beside her, Noah, clutching that worn-out teddy bear. His wide, confused eyes locked on me. The world went silent. All I could hear was my own breath. "Noah." My voice cracked. He hesitated for half a beat, then ran. I dropped to my knees and pulled him into my arms. His warmth hit me like a breaking dam. I kissed his hair, tears spilling down my face. "Daddy's here. Daddy's here." In that moment, I wished time would stop. But when I looked up, I saw Anna. "Why?" My voice was raw. "You left. You vanished." And all I had left was an empty house. She stood still, hands trembling. Finally, she exhaled, her voice barely a whisper. "I had no other choice, Lucas." I set Noah down, stepped closer. "No choice. Do you have any idea what I went through? How I've been searching for you?" Her eyes closed tight, her fists clenched. "I know, and every single day I was terrified that if I told you, you'd be pulled into it, and none of us would make it out alive." Mark stepped forward, his tone firm. "It's time. He deserves to know." Anna turned to me, her eyes red. "Lucas, it all started with your company." I froze. "My company?" 2 years ago, a project you signed off on involved dangerous people. I only discovered it when the anonymous messages started coming. At first, it was threats, then letters, and then photos of Noah, taken outside his school. Her voice broke. The worst was the phone call. They said his name, his school, his schedule. That was the moment I knew. We were out of time. "You should have told me," I shouted, my voice tearing apart. I wanted to, but they warned me. If you knew, if you went to the police, they'd strike immediately. Her tears fell hard. "Lucas, I didn't leave you. I was trying to keep our son alive." I staggered back, hollow. Mark quietly pulled a photo from his jacket and placed it on the table. I looked down and felt the blood freeze in my veins. The man in the photo was my closest friend, someone I had trusted with everything. Mark's voice was like steel. He didn't just betray you. He wants to destroy everything. I stood frozen, staring at the photo on the table. The air in the room was so heavy, it felt like every breath dragged stone into my chest. My heart pounded, hot and cold all at once. No, no, my voice cracked. That man, he was my friend, my brother. Anna came closer, took my hand. Her voice trembled. Lucas, the man you knew, doesn't exist anymore. Mark leaned forward. His voice was slow, each word like a hammer. For 2 years we tracked him. He's been running dirty projects. He's the one behind every threat. When you refused to come back to the company, he turned on your family. He went after the one thing he knew would break you. Heat rushed up my face. Memory after memory hit me. All the times we stood side by side. All the promises of brothers forever. Now, nothing but a lie. Where is he? My voice dropped, low and cold. Tonight he'll be in town, Mark said. He's been following you here. This is our one chance to end it. Anna's grip on my hand tightened. Lucas, he won't be alone. If this plan goes wrong, there's no way out. I looked at Noah. He sat in the corner, clutching that old teddy bear, wide-eyed and silent. Right then, my choice became clear. Everything now was for him. What do you need me to do? I asked, eyes fixed on my son. Mark pulled out a small radio and a set of keys. You'll be the bait. Stand alone in the town square. When he steps out, we close in with the police. But remember, there's only one shot. He paused, his voice heavy. Are you ready? I closed my eyes, drew a deep breath. Inside me, rage and reason collided, one screaming to tear him apart, the other holding me still. For my family. When I opened my eyes, the choice was made. As long as Anna and Noah are safe, I'm ready. Mark nodded. There's a tunnel behind the cabin. They'll leave now. We drive back. Anna stepped forward and hugged me, tears soaking my shoulder. Lucas, please come back to us. I held her tight. I promise. Tonight, this ends. The truck roared down the rocky road. Wind howled between the cliffs, whipping red dust into a blur. The sky was black, stars faint and cold. No one spoke. The only sound was the pounding of my own heart, like war drums in my chest. The town emerged, bathed in weak yellow light. We stopped at the square. Mark melted into the shadows, leaving me alone to step into the open. Empty space. The wind whistled through the lampposts, making them groan. A figure appeared at the far end of the street. Slow steps, each one heavier than the last. The streetlight flickered, and then I saw his face. Familiar. But those eyes were ice. A thin smile curved across his lips. I told you, Lucas. You can't run forever. I clenched my fists. Every muscle in me wound tight like a drawn bow, waiting for that moment. Tonight. Either it ends, or everything ends. The wind howled across the square, spinning old newspapers around our feet. The yellow streetlights stretched our shadows long across the pavement, two blades facing each other. He walked toward me, slow. Every step crushed a memory. All those nights we stood side by side. All those battles we fought together. Now nothing but shards of a broken illusion. I knew you'd come back, he said. Stopped a few feet away, voice rough, a thin, lifeless smile. I stared at him, forcing my voice steady. Why? Why drag my wife and son into this? His eyes were cold. Because that's the only way to bring you to your knees. My throat tightened. I called you my brother, I said. When you were at rock bottom, I pulled you up. And this is how you pay me back. He laughed, hollow and bitter. Pulled me up. Do you remember the night I was fired? I called you, and you were out having dinner with your new boss. That night, I lost everything. My job, my name, and my trust. He jabbed a finger at my chest. And you climbed higher, on my shadow. You're wrong, I shouted. I never turned my back on you. But you chose revenge instead of talking to me. A cold gust cut through the square. Inside me, pain and rage twisted into a storm. I once called you my only brother, I said, my voice shaking. But you burned that to the ground. He stepped closer, smile gone. This is your last chance, he said. Come back. Work for me. Do that, and your family walks free. And if I refuse? His eyes went dark. Then tonight, everything you love disappears. I swallowed my fear and locked eyes with him. I'm done selling my soul. Not for you. Not ever again. A vein bulged at his temple. Slowly, he reached inside his coat. My eyes tracked every move, his fingers sliding under the fabric, wrapping around the grip of a gun. Metal caught the light. A flash of cold steel. The gun came up, straight at my chest. The world froze. Only the wind, and the pounding in my ears. "Don't make me do this," he whispered. "All it takes is one pull of the trigger." In that moment, every memory crashed over me. Noah, curled in my arms. Anna, holding me in the canyon. The empty nights alone. I drew a deep breath. Didn't blink. "If you pull that trigger," I said softly, "remember this. You're not just killing me. You're killing the last friend who ever believed in you." A faint click cracked through the silence. Mark's signal, hidden in my pocket. I clenched my fists. Tonight, either this ends, or everything ends. A sharp click cut through the air from the radio, like a blade slicing the night. The square was tight as a drawn wire. His voice came out like gravel, the barrel of the gun steady as stone. "Last chance, Lucas. Choose." I locked eyes with him, breathing steady. "I already have." A voice roared from the darkness. "Drop the gun." Floodlights exploded across the square. Figures poured out from the shadows surrounding us. He froze for a second, then shouted, "You set me up." In a panic, he yanked me close. The barrel jammed hard against my temple. "Back off." "I'll shoot." Cold steel pressed into my skin. I could hear my own heartbeat, hammering in my skull. I spoke low, almost a whisper. "You can pull that trigger, but even if you kill me, all you'll have left is hate, and you'll be alone. Forever." Something flickered in his eyes. Small, but I saw it. Mark stepped forward, hands up. "Don't throw yourself off that cliff. Put it down." "Shut up," he yelled, spinning his head. Sweat dripped down his face. His eyes darted, desperate for a way out. The wind tore across the square, carrying the smell of fear. In that split second of distraction, I twisted hard, knocked the gun away. A deafening shot cracked the night. The muzzle flash lit up the square. The bullet slammed into a lamppost, glass shattering into sparks. I lunged. We both hit the ground. Cold stone against my back. The gun skidded across the pavement, clattering out of reach. He swung wildly. I held on, every punch fueled by anger, pain, and months of loss. Footsteps thundered in. Mark and the cops tackled him, locking the cuffs around his wrists. Pinned to the ground, he stopped struggling, breathing hard, and in his eyes, no rage, just emptiness. I collapsed to my knees, gasping, the metallic taste of blood in my mouth. Mark pulled me to my feet. "You all right?" My voice came out raw. "No, just tired. But at least it's over." Hours later, the square was empty. The wind swept through. Streetlights flickered. Mark put a hand on my shoulder. "Go home. They're waiting." When the sun rose, I drove back to the canyon. The wooden door swung open. Noah ran out, throwing himself into my arms. I held him tight, breathing in his warmth. "Daddy's home. No one's ever going to scare you again." Anna stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. I pulled her close. "It's over." The first light of day spilled into the canyon. Soft, golden, quiet. I looked out, my voice low. Win or lose, none of it matters. What matters is who's still here when it's done. That morning, the mountain mist still clung to the little wooden cabin. Noah was still asleep. Anna was making tea. I sat on the porch, breathing in the damp scent of pine, listening to something I hadn't heard in so long. Silence. Mark had left before dawn. His last words were simple. "The rest is yours. Go live it right." I watched his truck disappear down the rocky road, knowing there would still be courts and trials and questions. But the worst storm of my life had passed. Anna came out and handed me a cup of tea. We sat side by side in silence. After a long while, I asked quietly, "Do you regret it, leaving that way?" She shook her head, eyes on the steam rising from the cup. "If I had to choose again, I'd still do it. Not because I didn't love you." Her voice trembled. "I just couldn't find another way to keep Noah safe. I'm sorry for leaving you alone that long." I took her hand. "I'm sorry, too, for not being there, for letting you carry the storm by yourself." That afternoon, we left the canyon. The car rolled slowly over the red dirt road, tall pines rising on both sides. The evening sun poured down, pulling long shadows from the trees. In the back seat, Noah hugged his old teddy bear. After a while, he looked up and whispered, "Dad, Someday, can we go back to the house with the big tree in front? That simple question caught in my throat. I smiled at him through the rearview mirror. Yeah, buddy. We will. And this time, I'll always be there. Noah nodded and began to hum softly. His little voice mixed with the wind outside, light as forgiveness. That night, when they were both asleep, I sat alone on the porch. The sky was clear, stars sharp and cold. I thought of everything that had brought me here. The unanswered calls, the endless dirt roads, the nights filled with nothing but my own breathing. And I thought of that moment, staring down the barrel of a gun. Strangely, I wasn't afraid then, because I finally understood. What matters most isn't just staying alive. It's holding on to the people you love. I learned something that night. Happiness doesn't mean you never face a storm. Happiness is having someone waiting when the storm is over. And sometimes, friendships don't die because of betrayal. They die from silence that lasts too long. One day, I'll tell Noah everything. Not to scare him, but so he'll understand. Life will bring storms without warning. And when it does, the only thing that matters is holding tight to the hands you love. The night wind moved through the pines. A few needles fell softly onto the steps. I looked up at the sky, breathing in the scent of earth, and the peace I thought I had lost forever. Tomorrow, everything begins again. I whispered to myself, like a promise. I used to think my life ended the day she left. But maybe that was the day I learned how to love again, how to hold on. It's time to go home. Dao.